Welcome to Theme Weavers, your weekly wisdom for weaving yoga themes into your classes to inspire your students. I'm your host, Heidi Kasner. Let's get started. Welcome to Theme Weavers. Today, I'm so excited to have Craig Lonas. Is that how you say your last name? I've never actually said your last name.
Yeah, Lonas.
Lonas. Like Jonas Brothers, but with an L and no brothers. Yeah. Lonas, okay. The founder and owner of Core Element Yoga in Bowling Green, Kentucky, about his back pocket theme. By the way, there's also a Bowling Green, Ohio, I believe. Is this true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I was telling my husband that you're from Bowling Green. He's like, that is not in Kentucky. I'm like 99.98% sure it is.
Well, because it's next to where Glee was in the show. It's like Lima, Ohio. So Bowling Green is in the same county, or it's same area. And it's also, that's called Allen County, which is where I'm from. There's one next door. So yeah, that was a fun, like, little Glee connection for me, like, growing up. So
how have you never told me that? I love Glee.
I don't know how that's skipped in all of our other conversations.
I love Glee. Any musical, anything, as you know.
Yes.
Makes me very happy, and you should.
Absolutely.
All right, I've been looking forward to this conversation for a really long time, I feel like. We talked about this a long time ago, yeah. As I mentored Craig through his, I haven't through his whole thing because he's not done, but through his 300-hour YTT.
I've been busy.
Yeah, a little busy. We're going to talk about that. And Craig's become a true friend that talks to you throughout like a lot of the days of the week. Many days of the week. Yeah. We have so many similarities as people and an equal amount of differences. So it makes for some super interesting conversations that range from yoga, philosophy, daily life, astrology, not astronomy.
We can talk about astronomy too.
We talk about the stars. I don't know. Studio ownership and all the way to musical theater and TV and just like everything, basically. It's always a hoot, lots of laughter since it's so fun and deep to talk to him. So welcome, Craig, to the show. So glad we can make this work.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. So this is really exciting for me. I did a small podcast with a friend a few years ago. And so when you told me that you had this, I was like, oh, that's lovely. And then you're like, it's about themed yoga classes. I was like, stop. Like, that is amazing. So that's like my whole life. So
wait, what was the first podcast you were on?
I was just, it was called Brain and Brawn. So my friend is a lifter. He's a power lifter, and he likes to lift like by himself, and he's like a personal trainer. And then I'm like the complete opposite, where most of mine like skews for the mental, physical, spiritual side of wellness, as well as like teaching almost entirely group classes. And so, he's like straight and married to one of my friends, and like his like it's very kind of like we have a lot of similarities, but we have a lot of things that separate us too. And so we would do that and have locals on that talked about like, wellness in Bowling Green. So because even though we are in Bowling Green, Mr. Kasner,
Kentucky,
yeah, Kentucky, even though we're here, it's actually a pretty it's a pretty interesting, it skews like there's a lot of wellness culture here, a lot of yoga, a lot of everything, a few big brands, a few chains, but like a lot of people who really love running, wellness. But we're also, per Forbes magazine, though, Ozempic capital of the world. So that's hilarious too.
Oh, that's so interesting. Oh, yeah. Ozempic.
Oh, yeah. So it's interesting. There's a lot of focus on wellness, the body, and all of that in Bowling Green in general. And so he and I got together and did that podcast like that. So this is a little bit more my speed because I could talk about the foofier things that I love doing and all of the woo woo. So
you love your woo woo.
I really love my woo woo.
I also feel like Bowling Green, though, if you've never been, like I have never been, I don't think I've ever been to Kentucky either. I don't think. But my image of what it might be like was very different when you showed me your little like tour of the downtown. It's like hip and trendy and like.
Yeah. It's giving Stars Hollow, like it's giving very much like small town in a TV show a lot. It's like there's some like almost like Rose Apothecary style show or like spots to shop, like just to constantly talk about pop culture. But it's a beautiful place to live. I took Mother's Day was yesterday, and I took her to kind of like a little bespoke ice cream parlor where they use all local ingredients, and there's always a different thing. She goes, "What do you get here?" And I said, "It's different every single time." And like they
What
had
they
like a
have
mint
in.
julep. We're close to After Derby. They had like a mint julep sorbet, like all these kinds of different things. But it's a really beautiful town. We're really popular because we're the only place that the Corvettes are made in the world, and then we have the big Corvette museum. There's a couple of other national brands that are situated here, but we're also strangely like half a day's drive from everything. Like Louisville, Kentucky is 2 hours away. Nashville's an hour away. St. Louis is 2 or 3. Atlanta is like 4 or 5. Like it's like you can live here and every weekend go like vacation somewhere different and do a little extended staycation or something.
That's pretty cool. That sounds awesome. Except for
Yeah.
it's really hot. Really hot,
It
right?
does get so, and like, I love it as a former hot yoga teacher. I love it when it's sweltering hot because I'm like, I can feel my body just like getting warm and it feels nice. But yeah, it is, it'll get to the hundreds. What you and I, yeah. Oh, you and I were talking not long ago when it was like cold and rainy up there. And it was like 90 degrees, 91 degrees in April.
Ew.
But it got back down cold. It's really weird. It's Kentucky. Kentucky, like I think a lot of places have a saying, but like if you don't like the weather in Kentucky, wait a minute, and then it'll change in about a minute, and then you can experience like all 4 seasons in a week. Like it'll be some days you'll wake up and it'll just weirdly be cold. You're like, I don't know what this is. So we're really a liminal space. We're a pocket dimension.
Oh, and the ground can just randomly fall out too.
Yeah, you learned that fact.
I can't. I don't know. I have like never. Okay, one day Craig told me that he had like a sinkhole everywhere because of the rain. I'm like, oh, like a pothole in the ground. And he sends me a picture of like the Corvette Museum. It's like falling into the earth. What?
Yes. So we have a system. It's called the karst system here. So our Kentucky's ground is like limestone, and we have the longest discovered cave system 45 minutes away in a national park called Mammoth Cave National Park. It's beautiful. It's lovely. That would be if you ever did a national park tour. You should
That
come there
sounds nice.
sometime.
I
And
want
then
to go
45
there.
minutes later, you can come and do a float core element. But
Uh,
the ground, they say discovered because we know that cave is connected to several other, and so what happens is the rain like degrades into some of these places, and there's like underground cisterns where water collects, like caverns, sinkholes, little past mini caves and stuff like that. There's like maybe 5 minutes away from me an underground river called Lost River Cave, like in the center of our town as well. And so it is not uncommon after a really big rain or just on a day that ends in Y that a sinkhole will open up. And vice versa, if we do have like a flooded area or whatever, one of my other yoga teacher friends, they had to drill into an underground cave to like set something up because her house was like starting to flood so much. And so they drill into it so that it can drain it off naturally. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I can't do
It's
it.
like
I can't do
if
it.
Swiss cheese was a state, Kentucky, this area at least. So it's really funny because it's like we're here, we're Swiss cheese. Slightly to the east of us are these like mini mountains called knobs. Knobs. I
Knobs?
haven't even told you this. Here we're just talking about geography now. And then
Knobs?
over to a little bit over to the east again are the Appalachian Mountains. So we have like, I mean, we're right here next to, like, we share the border with West Virginia and Tennessee, and we get a lot of the Eastern Kentucky mountains. So
Wow. Okay, this is a lot to take in.
yeah,
All
it's
right.
basically District 12 from the Hunger Games. So
Oh my God, my daughter is obsessed with the Hunger Games, and every day she's like, I need them to announce the rest of the cast for the new movie. I'm like, Talia, you said it's not coming out until like winter of 2026. Like, it's a little bit far away. She's like, no, I need to know now.
It'll be here for you know it. Yeah, it's I'm reading that now. So when I get done, I'll get Talia and I'll have to gab about
And you
it.
guys
So
can have a little book club. All right, so let's pause this part so people could know who you are. Although I feel like now they know who you are anyway. But just in case you haven't gotten like the whole filling of Craig, let me tell you about him. So Craig's an experiential alchemist and community-driven yoga and movement teacher based in Bowling Green, Kentucky, which you heard. And I'm not going to lie, I had to look up the definition of alchemy, which is so embarrassing, but whatever. So if you're like me and you heard the word a billion times without really understanding it, according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, because I looked it up, an alchemist is a person who studies or practices alchemy. Very helpful. I love when they use the word in the definition. Or someone who transforms things for the better. And I kind of love that word now. You transform things for the better. That's so nice.
It's the job title.
Oh, I kind of like that so much. I'm glad you put that in your bio, so I had to look it up. Okay, so Craig's practice and teaching journey are rooted in his experiences of being Southern, sober, and queer, and how our movement practice helps us navigate life. Craig brings hustle and heart to his offerings in ways that evoke self-reflection, playfulness, and connection, and is known locally for being a theme queen, where his offerings center on themes ranging from world mythology, popular culture, music artists, and current events and the ways they connect to the roots and traditions of yoga. And, okay, alphabet soup, ERYT, YACEP, booty movement instructor and Inside Flow Silver teacher. Craig is also in progress on his 300-hour chromatic yoga certification. Yeah, tap yourself on the back while navigating his new business venture. He recently founded Core Element, a yoga movement and community studio after a successful crowdsourcing campaign where he and fellow providers teach a myriad of styles and modalities. Wait, am I like a part owner because I gave you like a tiny, tiny amount of donation?
Yes, it's probably like a 0.056. So
that's generous. I was thinking like 0.000005.
You'll get that penny in the mail soon. So
yes. Okay, Craig, I think you're just amazing and so authentic in your description of yourself professionally. The part where you said your practice and teaching journey are rooted in your experience of being Southern, sober, and queer, and how movement and practices help us navigate life, kind of like gave me a little bit of chills for a minute.
Ooh, okay.
It's just so you. It's so you, right?
Yeah,
it's just you.
When I think about it and I distill that down, I usually use something like that bio, especially at festivals and stuff where you're trying to. You only have a small snapshot, and they don't have anything to look you up because there's no service out there. And I'm like, well, if I had to be tethered to my ego, what informs it specifically? And it's those specifically. And I think that they're rooted in a lot of what I do and why I do and how I do.
I like that. And it made me laugh because we talked about our similarities, and other than sober, there's not so much there.
Yeah. But there's so
it's cool.
I think the theming thing, I feel like you, obviously with the whole podcast about it, like a lot of people don't know anything about theming. We did find out that our birthdays are sequential. You're the day before me. So we have a similar, you and I do have a similar astrology chart. I did look that up. So
Craig has my chart memorized. I don't have my chart anywhere memorized.
Memorized.
I feel like you do. You just like spat out my house with the rising sun and the 55th planet of the moment. What?
Your sun and your rising, I know off the top of my head. I always get your moon mixed up. It's always but I think you're a Libra moon and a Scorpio rising. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. Whatever you say, you could be pulling this out of your butthole, and I would believe you.
Postcard text every single time that I'm like, when you're like, things are really wild today. I'm like, give me a second. Let me see if there's a reason. Sometimes it's not Mercury. It's you.
It's just me. I'm just all kinds of special. Me and the planets are special.
Yeah.
But, oh well, seriously, congrats on opening your new studio and taking the leap. I feel like today is a big day for you, right?
Yeah, so today's the first day that I'm going like full-time yoga. And so this is the ripcord has been pulled and I'm leaping out and trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to navigate all that. It's funny because this week is the lead up to the Kentucky Yoga Festival where I'll be gone basically like Thursday night through Sunday. So I feel like I can't rush into a ton of stuff this week because I'm just going to be gone over the weekend and I need to like pace my energy because I'm about to sleep outside for 3 days.
It's a camping festival?
Oh, it's a primitive camping yoga festival. Yeah. You're not interested, are you?
I know.
I wasn't either. I will say that I had not camped. Prior to that, my most experience being outside was drinking on a patio. And if that's outdoorsy, then yeah, that's good. And then
I love the outdoors. I just really like my shower, my toilet, and my really comfortable bed.
Big fan of showers, toilets, and beds. I'm basically just Goldilocks. The the festival's really nice though. It has helped me like expand a lot of what I am. A lot of the elemental theming stuff is actually an offset from a local teacher here that I love, doing a thematic embodiment, talking about the elements, and so that was one of the really cool things that I knew. I knew that I wanted to probably do studio ownership as a route and as a pass someday, because there are, like I said, like with being queer and being sober and even being in a bigger body, all of these things kind of inform. There's not a lot of people exactly like me, and I'll give my flowers to the other Bowling Green studios and teachers. I taught there. I love them all. Like I have friends in every single one of them, and we all, there's enough hurt in the world for us all to find someone to help and heal, and there's enough going on in the world that everyone needs like their specific yoga teacher. But this niche, in my opinion, hadn't yet been carved out yet. And it was after this really good experience at this class, I was like, I knew I wanted something, and I kept going back and forth between, do I go more of the like southern route? Do I go more of the just the thematic route? But it was this really big thing about, well, all things come down to some sort of element, whether it's fire or earth or water or air, sometimes space. There are other elements in other cultures and belief systems, from metal and wood, but also the fun of being like, what's the element of love or the element of surprise, or what's the element of spirit? All of these things in every world culture. And even if you don't believe in spirituality, even if you do not believe in a creator, there's the periodic table of elements. So this is one thing that everyone can align, that something has to be broken down to its smallest pieces. And when we forge these smaller pieces together and we play with them and they're in balance, then that's how we build a better life. And so even though I didn't like want to go be sweaty and sleep on the ground, or even like stay like go do yoga in the grass when you've got like a little bug crawling across, it was reconnecting with all of that, because we're surrounded. This is a beautiful area. There's a river on three sides of it. We have a big fire, obviously open air, and then you're just outside in the earth. Like there is no way that you can hide from the elements at this point. And being so entrenched in nature, when even in a semi-rural town like Bowling Green, I don't get access to it. And with working a full-time job and teaching, there's very few opportunities to actually go and be attuned, I guess, with nature. And so
Yeah.
I don't know, I would recommend, if you've never done a primitive, and it's not like, I'm not like, we're not hewing like logs to build a tent. I'm not like, there's like, I have a Bluetooth speaker, like we all have,
There's still
like,
privilege out there. It's just
there's
yeah.
oh girl, there's still privilege in the woods. So the bears are like, oh, we've got some white people moving in, so there's no bears. There's no bears in South Central Connecticut. I said that and I was like, every once in a while they sneak up, but no,
Oh,
we don't
we
have
have
them.
them here. That's like the
Do you?
last time the last time I went camping. Before having kids, I was like a lot more fun. We would do things like pitch a tent and go hiking and stuff like that. And then when I was pregnant with my oldest, with Talia, so like 15 years ago, we was newly pregnant. I know you've never been pregnant, obviously, but like if
Not
you've been
yet.
pregnant before, maybe one day, different simulation. We like at the beginning you have to pee a lot because I think like the hormones make you pee a lot or something. So I like, we went to bed and I just had to keep peeing all night long, and there's bears in the campground, so like every 5 seconds somebody's honking their horn like bear, and like honking their horn to try and scare them away and like tapping stuff. So first I was making John like walk with me to the bathroom at the campgrounds, every hour. And eventually I'm like, oh, this poor guy just needs to sleep. And I'm like, I'm going to get eaten alive. I'm going to walk to the bathroom. I'm going to get eaten alive. I'm never going to meet this child because it's going to be the last day of my life because this bear is going to eat me. Clearly it never happened, but it was like very traumatic for me. And I've never been camping again.
Well, there's several opportunities to not have to experience that. Maybe a little bit of the poison could be the cure in that situation.
Yeah.
Sweetie, every time I tell you something or we talk about something, there's always one of my favorite things about you, is that like every time that I'm like, oh, here's one aspect of my life, you're like, I would never do that, and this is why. And it's you proceed to tell me like the most upsetting thing that I've heard that day. And so that was actually like low grade. Like when you were like, I'm a trauma informed teacher, I want to be like, yeah, no wonder you're a trauma.
God.
You got to figure out some way to move and breathe and laugh through some of that. Because wow, that's some bathroom trauma. That's special.
I am special. I'm very
Yeah.
special. Anywho, did I leave anything out about your bio?
I don't think so. Yeah, I did. I love. So this is again where we jump off a little bit is that I'm a very like musically aligned teacher. So Booty is all entirely based on music, and then Inside Flow, like the whole class is choreographed to one specific song. So those have been a big. Those were actually, I would say, inform my theming practice a lot. So those are big ones for me, and it's going to be a big part of what I'm working on in my little teaching thing. So not only am I leading a blacklight booty glow in the woods this weekend, yeah, fun. It's one of my
In
it's
the
the first.
woods?
Yeah, we're gonna do like it's like they do like music and they do like a stage and stuff. So they're gonna have black lights on the stage and we're gonna have them there like glowing in the dark and stuff. Yeah.
There's some like I've never done this and I don't know what it is. I've seen pictures on Instagram or something over the years. It's some outdoor music festival in the woods that's like sort of Burning Man, but in the woods, and everything's like glowed up. There's giant trees. I have no idea what it is, but every
Oh,
time
Electric Forest, I think.
I knew that you would know what I was
Yeah,
talking about.
I have a teacher.
Yeah.
One of my teachers and one of my friends. I think has been like went last year. It's apparently amazing. So, but it seems really cool.
It
So,
looks really cool. And
well,
that what you were just talking about reminded me of the picture that I've seen.
yeah. This is kind of themed off of that. The first class that I ever went to for Booty was a blacklight Beyonce and Bubbles class. So it was like a sober
Triple
class where we
B.
had
Actually,
kombucha right
four.
after. What?
I said triple B, but it's actually four because it's Booty, Blacklight,
Booty,
Bubbles,
Blacklight, Bubbles,
Beyonce.
Beyonce,
Quad B?
4B,
4B?
Quad B. Meet me on Quad B. We're gonna take it from the top. Um,
Wait, people might not know what Booty is. I know I've had people that talk about Inside Flow on here, so if you've listened to past episodes, you might know it,
okay.
but I don't know that I've had a Booty teacher before.
Okay, Booty is a movement. It used to be branded as Booty Yoga. They're trying to move out of that, out of a lot of constant conversation about whether or not it follows or is respectful to be calling it yoga, because it is a lot more movement and dance modalities that are thrown in there. But yoga is one of them. People can argue that it's still yoga because of the intense self-study that you go throughout the process of this. But it's usually branded as booty movement now. It's usually a 1 hour class. The instructors plan a playlist that aligns to music that has a heavy beat, usually a mixture of low to heart pounding music, and it is usually aligned. You're not just going in and playing like only Beyonce or only Taylor Swift or something like that, and that they discourage that typically so that they can do music without words, or if it does have words, music with like pretty like positive messages. There's some really good EDM trap music, like electronic trap and stuff, that's fun to move to because you get very like syncopated and earthy and groundy, and it has really positive. When I first heard about this, I used to think of EDM as like a druggy thing, and I've been really blown away by the people who have had those experiences and have worked really hard to bring sobriety and positivity into the music and festival scene. And so some of those classes are meant to do that. And we use different light sources. I use like different like little lights, so it would probably like when you and I talk about trauma informed yoga, and you're like, yeah, you want no sense, no this, and I said, well, you would hate my practice. No, but
No, but like I
it's
said to you
really
the other,
good.
but I told you the other day, like if you know what you're going into and it's very
Yeah.
honest and transparent in the description of what you're showing up for, I'm okay with it. It's when it's like we're doing a vinyasa yoga class and you show up to this like rave party essentially in the dark
Yeah.
to the beat of the music and no, I like it's like just tell me because now I hate you
Yeah.
and I hate this. Just be honest.
Yeah, I try to be pretty like I try to be as transparent as possible without with all that. But yeah, it's really awesome. It's been around for several years. I don't know all the deets about it, but they are constantly doing trainings in the area. They kind of mix. They'll be more in the south, sometimes they'll be more, but they're mostly in like the west, like in Idaho, Arizona, and stuff. But it's lovely. We do these like deep spiraling. It's called the spiral structure technique, and it's almost it is. It's like reminiscent of um, belly dancing, hula, and it's a way to like work in and still try to do our best to educate people and have a respect for world and indigenous dance cultures and movement modalities without just trying to be like this is this and it's called booty and it was never anything else. We try to do our best, or at least I do, with intention to root people in a reminder of like throughout history we have all moved our bodies in different ways, from yoga to things like hula to West African dance, Celtic dance that like turned into river dance, bluegrass dance that comes and is very influenced by African American culture. There's so many things. And before we turned before we turned health into shrinking people and making them as fit as possible or whatever, movement just used to be about fun. It used to be about joy. It used to be about
Liberation, right? Like
yeah.
get out of your head, let your body
Well,
move what you're
and like
feeling.
I talk about stuff like this all the time, like jazz funerals. Like someone is dead, we are burying them, we're taking them to put them in the ground forever. And there's a parade with people singing, dancing, not screaming, not crying, not like,
Celebrating.
yeah, and like you look at weddings, and we've talked a little bit about bat mitzvahs, bar mitzvahs, and every other group had some sort of ritual. And oh my gosh, my thematic practitioner and one of my besties, Jessica, said we were talking. We were like, "What do you think is wrong? Why do you think it gets to the point where people don't ever get better, or it feels like no one gets better, or it feels like people never grow up, or it feels like they miss these hallmarks?" She says, I think it's because we've lost ritual. We've lost a sense of like when you are 13 this happens, or when you're 15 this is your quinceañera. And some cultures still keep that alive and work on that, but on the
But not secular
whole,
culture, right?
yeah, outside of that, if you are not like deeply entrenched in your ethnic culture or your religious and spiritual culture, you've lost any sense of ritual. And I will say that Booty and a lot of my classes have taken some of those places of ritual. Like I'll do solstice celebrations, or I'll do like the holiday is like worked into a theme in some classes, and gathering and moving and dancing and still doing like some asana and some meditation in there and mixing it all together is what's been powerful. Not just in Booty, but I work a lot of that kind of energy and a lot of my classes and offerings, even like ecstatic dance. Like I'll theme an ecstatic dance. Even when I taught at a gym, I would theme dance, like a dance fit, like a Zumba class, and I've themed like hit like core classes where we were using weights and stuff like that.
But that's your authentic voice, right? Like no matter what you're doing, you thread that through whatever you do. You do that in every conversation that we have, even like you make a point of bringing depth and purpose and meaning and education to every interaction that you have that I've ever seen.
It must be exhausting.
To you? I don't know. Is it?
No, I feel like some people can't. Well, that's the thing, is like you talk about authenticity. I love it. Some people like love it. They crave it and they need it. And then some people are like
shut up and just let me move my body. But that's why there's like different teachers for different people. And you find your tribe, right? But wait, I have one other question. The name is BUTI.
Okay, so BUTI is.
It's not like you shake your booty, your butt. Like, where'd the name come from?
So, and I will botch this translation, and but it's meant to come from, so it also sounds like bodhi, like bodhisattva.
Okay. Huh.
But the buddhi is supposed to be a cure that was once hidden, but that is contained within you. And so it is a reminder. Yeah. See, it sounds like
Shake
booty,
your
and it'll give you a
tushy.
good one for sure. Because there's so much that like helps with that. But it's really about finding a sense of healing and a sense of internal empowerment without needing all of the external stuff that we go to all the time, without needing to be like, I have this really cool matching set, or I have this like that's why I still think of it as a yogic
Yoga.
practice, is because you're reminding people that you don't have to go out and take this shot or take this pill or get this surgery or like get these injections or do all those things unless your doctor says it, and that's an affirming thing. Do that. You have free will, but at the same time, like, we have always been born with exactly what we need to heal and take care of ourselves. Somewhere along the way,
We lose it.
society made us believe that that wasn't possible, and so when we go back to practice, when we go back to these kinds of elements, that's what helps us heal, helps us grow, helps us just remember what it's like to be a human and not some sort of like automaton that's out there making money, paying bills, and keeping the Netflix warm and glowing.
That's so beautiful. And to be able to, I'm sure every booty yoga teacher does not come back to that, right? But like, if you're able to, I think it, just like every yoga teacher doesn't theme, right? But if you're able to
Yeah.
remind people why it is what we do, like why we're here, it just is
Yeah.
such an empowering, uplifting, transformative experience. It shifts it, changes it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I have this, and sometimes it's a lot of pressure to put on us. I teachers will say to me like, I don't know how you do this, and I'm like, I this is just how my brain works, but
That's
I
right.
also have an intense belief that when we are gathered together for, at whatever time that we get, that we have a responsibility to do our absolute best to make it worth it, and not in the like caloric burn make it worth it, but like, this is the 1 hour, like, what is now going to be my full-time job, but what is like has been a side hustle for so many people, and is just a thing people do either to like get paid to work out, or get paid to keep to supplement their memberships to studios. What you might think of as just a task, just a side hustle, is maybe this one person's once a week sense of connection to themselves, their self-care, their ritual. Even yoga should never be like used as therapy, but like,
It's
if you can't,
therapeutic. It's
yeah,
therapeutic.
a therapeutic application of movement for people who it's often hard to find therapy. It's hard to find people your age, or it's hard to find other people that match your energy in our careers. And so, what was just like people consider is like, oh, it's just a yoga class. Why do I have to try that hard? It is everything possibly to this one person that is on the mat. And even I forget that sometimes, and it's good to remind myself every once in a while that this is what we do matters, and what we do is extremely important. And so why not like find everything that we can do to make it as good as possible, as sacred as possible, as special as possible for people.
So beautiful. I love that. How did you find yoga?
Yoga came to me. Um, it was 2017, into 2017, I started deciding that I needed to. So I had smoked. So tobacco is really big in Kentucky. Almost my entire family has smoked at some point. So I smoked cigarettes, and I was getting neuropathy. And I knew that I was 27, 7, and so I said I gotta quit this. I'd smoked almost. I was like, I'll hit the 10-year mark if I get to 28, because I started smoking when you could buy them. Because you used to be able to buy them at age 18 in the state of Kentucky. Now it's like
Can you
21.
not? Is it older?
It's
I didn't even know
21
that.
now. Yeah, nicotine
I didn't
products
even
are
know
21 now. So the like one good thing I think that happened in you know who's first term is that
that.
yeah. And not to give any flowers to them, just
That's what happened during that time period.
it's just like I remember that, but also because of that guy, and the general fear. So I told someone I remember the week after that happened, there was like there was some violence, like at gas stations and people being afraid. And so I said, I gotta quit doing this. I don't think I'm gonna get health insurance anytime soon, so I need to start taking better care of myself. And I need to go work out. And so I quit smoking, had enough money to join a local gym, and then they had some like as part of the gym membership or subscription, you can go to classes. They had group classes. I was like, for sure, I need to do that because one, I craved being in community. I craved being in a learning setting. I craved like group movement, and I didn't know how much I craved it until I was in it and started learning more about why I liked it. But so I did that, and I had some wild first teachers. But one of I call her my first teacher because she stuck. She taught like yin, restorative, power, also taught at the hot yoga studio, so I eventually went with her to try that. But yeah, I didn't want to end up being a statistic or a victim, and working out, moving my body, and healing from like nicotine abuse, and then later realizing that I was abusing alcohol and needed to stop drinking copious amounts of alcohol, was important to me. And so I started that, did it for a little while at the gym, and then started developing a home practice. And so that would be what I would go to. And then by the next summer, I was trying hot yoga. I'd gotten like a gift certificate to try it. So tried it out, was like blown away at being at different stuff. The first studio that I practiced at, though, was the one that had the Beyonce Blacklight Beauty Club.
The quad bees.
Quad bees. Be quiet.
Quad bee.
Be quiet. So that was really cool. That was like sometime before I said, okay. And there were other sober people in there. The instructor, her name's Chelsea Aldrich. She was a traveling instructor from St. Louis. So we didn't have like a consistent teacher there too. And so I had this moment where I realized, I was like, we need teachers. I was like, I feel like, and I said this the other day, I was like, there's 1,000 people with RYT right now. But people will get it, and then they'll still not follow through with things, or they'll get there and not really have a passion to keep going. It's not always rewarding. And so my journey started there, and then my teaching journey became revealed to me pretty quickly after that. And I said, I need to like learn how to do this stuff. So I remember after this last time that someone took hold of things, I said, there are good things that can come out of any dark moment. And that was like, I was like, I wouldn't be a yoga teacher. I wouldn't have come to the mat probably had it not been for some of these situations. That was a long one. That was like a 27, 28, 29. In some people call them like the dark night of the soul is like one of the terms that people use. In astrology, it's called your Saturn return. The areas, the years when Saturn removes to the place where it was where you were born, is when you do all of these big life changes. It's when you finally have the weight revealed to you, and it's like it's hard. It is not. That's a lot of people. You love music. The 27 Club.
Yeah.
Those people that pass. Oh,
no,
it's like Janis Joplin and like all of these
people
like
that died when they're 27.
Like Amy Winehouse.
Was Janis Joplin 27 years old when she died?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I can Google it really quickly. I don't know.
No, that's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to.
I'm pretty sure she's in the 27 Club.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
But I mean, like, there is this, like, if you think back to what things were like when you were 27, 28, 29, 30, like, this time is so formative. And when we talk about ritual, like, these are things, if you don't have kids and you don't get married, then, like, what is there to live for? Are you looking it up?
I am. I'm sorry. You got me. Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain, Jim Morrison, Ron Pigpen McKernan. Uh, Wait, this person's not dead. What?
Are you
Okay,
getting a
that's not
check?
who I thought it was. No, that's just not who I thought it was. Never mind.
Are you getting, I was like, are you getting chat GPT over
The
there?
name sounded like John Baptiste, but it was not. I'm like, this
He's
person's
alive.
not dead. That's not what it said. My brain filled it in wrong. Pete Ham. I don't know who these people are. I don't know these people. I don't know these people. I don't know who that is. But that's a lot of people.
Yeah. And so
Wow.
if you think about that, like, this is a thing that, so your Saturn return and also just like the times coming up to your 30th birthday can be really intense for people. And I was experiencing that. So I ended up with yoga so that I didn't end up in this 27 club, in my opinion. Because by started teaching, like started doing my RYT in 2009. No, and yeah, right around 2009. And by that November, it was clear I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I want to be a yoga teacher, and I'm getting. And I'm not saying that people can't drink and teach yoga. I'm never going to say
Yeah, a
that.
lot of people
It
do.
does. There's something about the way my DNA works, and it meets like it. My cells and those cells meet, and it is nuclear. And understanding that like not everything is for everyone was a big, again, like revelation when it came to yoga. And so I came to the mat hurt and needing to detox essentially from nicotine and regain feeling. My breathing, my cardio was so bad. My nose, my sinuses were not great. My stress and anxiety were through the roof because I was a pack a day smoker, and people watch me move. Yeah.
Think about how much money you saved by stopping.
Well, that's a big
You
one
spent
too. And
like
then
when you were like, I had enough money to join this like local place. It's like, yeah, because you stopped spending all your money
yeah,
on packs of
well,
cigarettes.
and it's so cool because it's like when these things, when you remove these, oh gosh, that's me and you going back to everything we've been talking about with like the vacuum that I'm creating. Like, so the vacuum that I created by like saying no, changing the pattern, shifting this thing that I did not need to be in anymore, like opened up the gym and yoga, and then dropping alcohol opened up way more capacity to like explore authentically like what I care about, what I believe in, what I feel. And so that's not always everyone's journey to it. Sometimes it's completely different, but
It's
I just
yours. It's your journey.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it was super powerful for me, and especially as again in the South, I'm in bourbon. We're in bourbon country, you know, like Tennessee whiskey is right next door, you know,
Oh, now I
and
have that
being
song in my mind. It's such a good song.
it's such a good
Such
song.
a good song.
My friend made a flow to that on
Oh,
Inside Flow, so I want to like learn it and teach it at some point. But yeah, um and then in queer culture, just like gay clubs are being one of the only gathering spaces for queer people to feel safe. I had that in the back of my mind too, and I'm like, how would I create a place and hold space for people where they didn't have to go and get wasted, and they didn't have to go and be pressured to drink, and in these spaces also be pressured with everything else that comes with proximity to alcohol, because there are other like
sure.
risks and things between drugs to risky behavior that come out from that. I had a couple of like, I'm very lucky. I had a couple of moments where I could have died or I could have hurt someone really badly, and by the grace of creator or something or luck or serendipity, I'm still here. And so if there's anything that I could do to like help keep people reminded that like when you let these things go, you open yourself up for so much more and such a better existence.
All right, we can stop the podcast now. That was really beautiful. We're done. We're done. Done here.
You said you wanted a little bit more long form content, so you got you and I gabbing is gonna be long form content.
That's so beautiful, though. That's
Oh,
so
thank you.
inspiring and meaningful, and totally not unrelated, but like slightly unrelated, because that was deep and raw. And when I was just in New York City camping in an apartment because there was no beds and we had air mattresses because that's how I camp. And yes, I was in a very nice apartment just on the floor. The guy who owned the apartment, so it's my good friend's husband's brother. Him, I don't know if he owns it with his partner. I don't think so. But anyway, he owns like 4 different gay bars in Manhattan. And it's been for many years. This is what he's done. He's like, business sucks because everybody is sober now and they all want to come for the drag shows, but they don't spend any money because they don't drink anymore. And he's like, I can't even make enough mocktails to cover the price. It's really a very hard time because everybody's hopping on the sober bandwagon. I'm like, wah, wah, wah. What could we do to get creative? So I start coming up with all these creative ways that he could make money. He's like, I'm like, oh, you didn't ask for my advice. Never mind. I'm gonna be quiet. But even the gay culture is shifting into that world. Maybe not in Kentucky yet, but it all starts up here in New England first and makes its way.
I'm noticing it. So the Kentucky Yoga Festival that I go to, it's the second festival. The first one is called Playthink, and it is a sober festival that is meant to take on the same things that you would do at like a big festival. It has flow arts like poi and fans and fire. I got to spin fire and do fire dance last year. Yeah, me with fire. Very fun.
You're
Very
lucky
dangerous.
you still have hair on your head.
I didn't have any on the backs of my hands though. I don't have much hair on my head anyway. This is an illusion. So that's getting big, and so that's like I'm really glad that like I was able to recognize this early, and I would just say to anyone that's still like that, that's like, well, we're losing money, or we're losing, because it is there's a genuine fear that queer culture is going to struggle when people stop drinking. I can understand it is a social lubricant, and this is where people typically go to relax and unwind. But also, like, several other things can take the place of that. One is feeling actually safe. Like actually understanding what safety in your body feels like, because even at these events we're not actually safe. That's an illusion. Like you're not safe at a pride event. You're not. There's nowhere in this world really anymore where you can actually be 100% safe. But trying to get people to feel safe in their own bodies, that's
a good start.
If you feel safe in your own body, then that's all that matters. And so I really like, I look forward to seeing like queer sober dance nights. There's queer liberation dances that are like the ecstatic dance stuff that I also work with. Yoga for all bodies, queer yoga movement circles that are about sobriety that do the same thing, that add ritual without doing that. But yeah, he's right too. Mocktails are also stupid expensive.
So expensive.
Because you can't keep, they don't keep. They're not like alcohol. They have a shelf life that's much shorter. There's a sober bottle shop in Nashville called Killjoy. Obsessed. So cute.
Great name.
Yes, right? It's across the street from the one of the gay clubs. And it's, I mean, the stuff that you can get there is amazing, but some of it's like, it when opened, and you can get a big bottle, and it's like, when opened, consumed within 3 months. And I'm like, oh, so you're gonna have to, like, you would get this for a party, you wouldn't just keep it around the house to sip on the way that people do like bourbon or something. So
yeah, that's true. It doesn't have that alcohol content to keep it shelf
maybe
stable.
people will come up with something different if it's more mocktails, or maybe we just go back to drinking like tea.
Water. Water would be great.
Water. Is that's oh
yes, this is my water in my BPA free Nalgene that is full of microplastics, so everybody now like shames me for drinking out of a plastic water bottle.
Is Nalgene bad about microplastics? I didn't know that.
Everything that's plastic is bad about microplastics because they're microplastics. But guess what? When I drink out of metal, it like I can feel it in my teeth and I don't like it. And it's heavier. And I have to have, like, if I carry around a liter of water with me, I need it to be accessible. Otherwise, I'm not going to bring it and I'm not going to drink it.
I'm basically just microplastics at this point.
I'm basically made of plastic.
Yeah. Life in plastic, it's fantastic.
My name is Regina George. All right, anyway. So, the whole purpose of being here today, Craig.
Oh yeah, we've just yapped.
Yeah, I like yapping with you. And in real time instead of like back and forth ping pong style, how we usually talk. But having you on the podcast is cool because we get to talk about themes and you love themes. And this season, you know, I've been inspired by being all about mythology. But before we get into what your back pocket theme is in a minute, how do you choose a theme for your classes and where do you, because you pull inspiration from everywhere and you always want to have a theme going. It sounds like even in just like chit chat conversation, there's something deeper. How do you decide? Like, is it, I don't plan my yoga classes. I get moved by the energy of the room and what I see in front of me. And then I can like scan my brain and people make fun of me because I like read my head with my eyeballs. And then I know exactly what I need to teach. Like, are you that way with theming? You just read the energy of the room or like, how do you decide?
I do a little bit of everything. I will ask people before like a gentle restorative class, like what hurts, and I like saying that. I like saying like what hurts, what do you all need, because you're actually asking people to say out loud, like and be like, I really need this, and like I love that. Like I really need something for my hips, and I need something for my back, and people talk, and sometimes people like make it into it. They'll get cute. They're like my bank account, and I'm like, ha ha ha. But that's special. So you can.
You're teaching people to use their voice and ask for what they need.
Yeah.
It's really hard for people to ask what they need in any situation.
I don't know why, but like autonomy building with students has been one of the strangest things, and especially like in the South where disembodiment and like lack of autonomy are really big because of like some roughness with the church, but also like just the way that like we have been trained to like not think about our bodies, that it's inherently sinful or weird or bad. So that's one thing that I typically do, is that I like to ask people like, what would you like, what do you need, what do you need help with? And so I'm not like on the Heidi level yet where I can like, you told me that you like scan the room and you're like, I see this person doing this, I see this person doing this, and I know that this person needs something on their low back, and I'm like, love that. Not there yet. Soon, hopefully. But
I'm like a magician.
Like, what would you like? What would be good for you? Is one thing that I do.
But that's important too.
Yeah. When I'm coming up with other fun themes, I will try to go through. I am actually pretty good. I've been just like paying attention to astrology for about 3 years now, and I know that we just talked about it a little bit, but it's important to me because it is a seasonal shift, and even the themes, when they are not something that if people are like, and I notice this all the time, people are like, what are the planets doing? And I'm like, you can be like that, or you can look at this as a more like feminine form of data collection that's existed for like longer than any of us have been alive. So thanks. It's typically been I mean, the Southerners use the Farmer's Almanac to plant. I don't know if that's a thing.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, the Farmer's Almanac. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, that again, it goes off of that. So, from a basic level, you've got the moon cycle. And so, the moon cycle is approximately 4 weeks. You've got 2 weeks from new moon to full moon. And so, if I come in there and I know that the full moon is tomorrow, and people look like this, and they're like, I'm like, oh, you probably haven't been sleeping. You're probably tight and tender, and you're probably emotionally agitated. Each moon also can, like, be flavored, for lack of a better connection, flavored by the sign that it's in and the month and the season of the year that it's in. Like a full moon in winter is going to be like, get out of here, versus like a full moon in summer is going to be like, I want to go out and dance outside. Like, I mean, these are the things. I also used the new and full moon to quit smoking. Like, if you need to quit a habit that's bad, if you can do it in the final days, like right after a full moon, before the new moon starts, the new moon is this like all right, I got something new that I could start. I can drink water every day. And so sometimes I'll come in and want to do, like, it's a new moon or a full moon, typically close to those. And I'll be like, all right, we're going to do like Chandra Namaskars, like moon salutations. And depending on what time of year it is, we'll base it on that. Astrology, so the sign, when the sun moves through different signs, it moves through approximately a month, and it falls in different days. Um, and there's almost always actually, like, people just think of it as like a piece of jewelry or a sign, or like, I'm mean, I'm a Gemini. Like, I care about money, I'm a Capricorn. But it really does, it relates to metaphysical themes and themes that have existed, like, in the world. We talked about Virgo season, where it's the theme of Virgo is about distillation, harvest, details, and Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah happens during Virgo season. The solstice, summer solstice, happens at the break from. It's the start of Cancer season, where Cancer is about water. It's about, like, being able to explore tradition and acknowledge family, and think about, like, a lot of family reunions and weddings and stuff like that happen during Cancer season. People don't plan it. People aren't like, well, we're going to have our family reunion during Cancer season. But it's just the fact that, like, June the 21st, 22nd, or whatever exactly when it falls through for that month is a really great time to do this. Then you move from there into Leo season, where you're like, I want to be, like, really loud and brassy and have concerts, or have a wedding, or like have a get together. Also Leo season. Like, it's funny. Back to school happens during, like Virgo Libra season for a lot of people, depending. Like, the things like that are interesting. Like,
it's interesting.
There's a tie-in. But beyond that, we also have these, like, capitalistic seasons that we tie into. You have, like, Christmas season, Thanksgiving, back to school. You have summer break, spring break, and all of these things. So I guess my version of the Heidi scan would be like, what is happening culturally? If I want to go in there and talk about like if I want to talk about, like, a party or something like that, and we just lost, like, a local community member, like if a community member has just passed or something like that, and you have to pay attention to little things like that. Um, Celebrities, like, if a big thing happens with a celebrity, like, it affects people. Like, um, when certain music artists, when they pass, like, big one for me was Tina Turner. I had to teach booty, like, the day that Tina Turner passed, and I grew up listening to Tina Turner. My dad was a huge Tina Turner fan, and putting some music in the class at the end was like a way to pay homage and show appreciation for this person. And here I was with a group of, like, 19-year-olds that
Who's
don't.
Tina Turner?
Exactly. So you look at, like, sometimes it doesn't always work, but at the same time, you can have a sense of one of the funniest ones I did was the week that the week that Katy Perry went to space. Which is such a weird concept to me. I mean, I like it, current events seem like such a strange thing to teach on, but I did, like, it was like spacey music mixed in with stuff for, like, a booty class, so it was already going to be a little bit more strange. But you can use current events to say, like, I acknowledge that this is the reality that we're living in, and we get the choice to talk about that. Election seasons, all of these things. Like, you just pay attention to what that is energetically, and then you make it work to the body. Like, during Capricorn season, Capricorn rules the knees. And it's usually something about calculation, longevity, but also order, purpose, and all that stuff. So you can really focus on, like, details, strong asana that makes you feel like that you have control, that makes you feel like you have some sense of station in your body. You can make all of these things work on any of these things. things.
So you're picking like your physical and your thematic themes, for lack of better words, based on either what's happening culturally, what's happening in the cosmos, if you will, what's happening seasonally. All these different things inform the decisions and choices that you make for the class.
Yeah, like even a rainy day. Like if it's rained for 4 days in a row and everybody's like, "Bleh," like
I request an hour-long shavasana. I'm just so tired. One of
yeah,
those
but like
classes. Yeah.
you can work in something that acknowledges the literal weather outside and still make it, because we're all that's something that we're all experiencing.
Yeah.
Like we're all experiencing the weather in that area.
I appreciate this because there's so many people that either they plan their class and their theme ahead of time and then they're stuck to it because they did so much work and effort. And then they're almost like tone deaf when they show up for the class, when they're not able to recognize that, like, oh, just because I wanted to teach about appreciation for all that we have, when like there was this tragedy within our community, that you're just like, why are you talking? This feels like you're bypassing around something.
Yeah.
So being able to be adaptable also with your plans as a teacher, it's almost better to not theme your class in that situation than to be tone deaf with your theming because you did all this work and effort.
They talk about this in the first teaching yoga beyond the poses. I know you had Sage and Alexandria. Yeah, they talked about, like, did one of them say that they taught and it was like 9/11 and they were teaching public yoga classes? I
don't
can't
remember, but yeah,
it was something similar where it was like they had a plan of specifically what they were going to do, and there was some sort of like really big thing. And like there have been times where I've gone in to teach and I'm like, I want the theme to be like parties. Not really, but like yeah,
a
you're like,
celebratory theme.
I
Yeah.
want the theme to be joy. I want the theme to be love. I want it like today I'm really like it's this thing is going on and I want there to be like a lot about love, and then look down and it's like the anniversary, it's like 9/11, or it's like or like Veterans Day, or I always like I try to do like a pass the mic if it's a holiday that's culturally significant to like an ethnicity that I am not. Hit me on St. Patrick's Day. But any other time, I try to like pass the mic and let another student like be like, could you speak or would you be comfortable to like lead a small Dharma talk or something like that in or around Shavasana? And so that's another thing too. Like, I'm not just going to completely bypass it. I'm not going to be like, well, today the theme was like booty blaster burnout 5,000. And we're gonna completely ignore the fact that like that it's 9/11, like and not in a way that's like disrespectful. You would still not want to like draw much attention to it, but you can do something as simple as like having a small moment of silence, small moment of reverence. There are ways to work this in, but yeah, not to be tone deaf. Like I've walked into classes where I'm just like, what are we doing? Like why is this the thing we're talking about? Like
that's
if you
like
read
such a turn off.
Quote teachers. I'm always like about quote teachers, and they're like they pull out their quote and they read it and they're like, sometimes the simplest thing that we can do is be gentle and be loving and be peaceful. And then they'll start class and it's the hardest class that I've ever done in my entire life.
That's not related at all to what they were trying to give us the lesson of. It's not. It's like dropped it at the beginning and then totally like threw it underneath the rug and slammed it out the door. Never came back
Like
to
a
it.
henzain, but why are we doing like burpees? Like what?
Oh my God, I have the funniest story to tell you. And then we're getting to your back pocket theme. So in the pandemic, you know, teaching on Zoom and all this stuff. And I had just gotten Millie, my puppy. She was a puppy, 2020 baby. And I was like, I'm going to teach Millie how to be a yoga dog. So I would, you know, set up, I had my Zoom, I had my mat, and I put her little bed at the foot of my mat. And I'm starting the class. I'm like, all right, we're in an 8-week series. We're going to theme every class around the yamas and niyamas. Each week I'll teach you a new yama or niyama, and then I'll bring that throughout the class. So it's week number 1. And I'm like, let's talk about ahimsa, non-violence. And all of a sudden, Millie like lunges out of her bed and starts biting my hair and pulling. And then she starts scratching my arm and biting my arm. And I'm like, going on. I'm like, so ahimsa is non-violence, and we don't want to be violent to others or ourselves. And she's like attacking me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my God, this is so absurd. Like, do I stop and be like, Millie, But it's I just like kept going, and acting as if this violent thing is not happening to me because I didn't want to give her any attention.
Yeah.
What is wrong with this crazy person?
Like Amy Poehler in Mean Girls, where she's holding the dog and the dog is like chewing at her shirt, like, and they're like,
I'm literally theming the class on nonviolence.
that's amazing.
I gotta find that. I wonder. I'll have to send you that little clip.
I need that clip.
It was special.
That would be a really good reel for you in your
It was
content to post.
special. I think the problem was I thought about this, and like all of my early Zoom stuff was on like like really crappy camera, and so I'm like grainy, and like I look like I'm in like a 1950s TV that you want to whack because it has like snow going on it. It was so bad. The quality is so bad, but it's so good. It was so good.
Yeah, you at least need to try to post that to a reel so we can laugh together.
Yeah, we can laugh at me together. All right, so you've listened to Theme Weavers before, but in case someone new is listening, each episode I share a different theme that could be used in yoga classes that are usually tied to Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, although this season, like I said, it's been all around mythology. And next season, we'll see where I go. I don't know yet. But no matter what the intention is, I offer tips on how to deliver a Dharma talk on the theme, how to weave a thematic through-line phrase throughout the class to remind students of the theme so you don't just introduce it at the start, like Craig just said with the quote, and never come back to it, or like do the total opposite related to what you said at the beginning. How to match a peak posture or sequence with the theme, and how to conclude a class so that way students can continue to reflect on the theme off of their mats and into their lives. So Craig, if you had to pick one, this is so hard for you, I know, one back pocket theme where you don't have to plan anything for it and you can just like whip it out of your metaphorical back pocket of your pants without any preparation, just something like from your heart that inspires you and your students, what would it be? We can talk about it informally, but try and break it down so listeners can see how you bring it alive throughout class, so that way they can turn your voice into their own and get inspired by you.
Okay, so this was the worst practice for a week to try to figure out exactly how I was going to do this and what I would choose. I would go, you and I talk so much about the astrology, and so my favorite season to teach is typically around Christmas, going into Capricorn season, going all the way into solstice and all that stuff. But I also love teaching like the summer solstice. My favorite is light. I love teaching about light, and light is, at the end of the day, if we had to say, like, you could throw out all spirituality. Without light, there is nothing. Light is, especially from the sun, and you can make it like, you can go light, sub-theme sun, light, sub-theme moon, anything that you want to do, hata, hata. But when you go light, you're talking about how the energy that we get from the sun casts like a light on all things so that we can see it, that we can perceive it. But also, like, the energy becomes our food through plants, consumed by animals for those of us that consume animal. It is the thing that creates like heat. The absence of light is darkness, but the absence of light and energy is also cold. Like, you can have anywhere that you need to go off of, and you could honestly probably take a year of classes and theme them on light and then do everything around it. And I go back to, we were talking about ending classes with namaste, and a lot of people used to say like, the light in me honors the light in you.
The light in me honors, sees, and values the light within you. Namaste.
Yeah. And I that was even a lot of us are working on restructuring what our relationship is with that word or with endings and stuff. But like light and thinking about the way that we relate to light is important. So I would start class. I've done it in a few different ways. In solstice, so at the hot yoga studio I taught at, there are no outdoor windows. It's entirely blacked out. And so to keep the heat in.
Cave.
It's a cave. The theme is Plato.
Kentucky cave.
The theme is the allegory of the cave.
Oh, gosh.
I'm going to have a projector and I'm going to show you what the outside looks like. So I could turn the lights all the way down, and we would actually start our practice in total darkness, which I know makes your trauma-informed brain go, no. But these are people that I've practiced with a long time, and there's a relationship that's usually
Like there's
built up.
no candles at all, no source of light. It's like pitch dark.
I started in that. Like I would do like we would be like so yeah, complete black. You're on your back, so you're safe. You already know, and there's like a pre-class shavasana at this studio, and no one's talking. So like they have a pretty good idea of their own sense of internal safety. But like we'll do like knee to chest, like take a second, open up on each side, and then slowly there were dimmers in this studio, so I would slowly start to like bring the light up. And so the whole class, so not only are you using like words to talk about this stuff, I like the whole class, like the light gets up until I turn the lights all the way up slowly on a dimmer switch to the brightest part of the class, and then like bring it all the way back down to mirror the travel, like the journey that the sun takes through the year, where we have more light and then goes back down. I want to talk about like warming up in a class, like the beginning sequences where we're doing cat and cows. Like you're inviting light, you're inviting energy back into your body, waking it up to then go through like sun salutations and then the crux of your class, whatever that is. Um, Things that I would do in the class, I if you wanted to bring it back to a physical, what would be one of your physical themes? You can go with casting light on an area of your body, or bringing awareness to a specific area of your body, and so you literally get the whole body of like peak action, peak engagements, to use like a chromatic terminology. You can choose drishti. I mean, drishti, without light, you do not have any external drishti. You could obviously have an internal drishti, where you are mentally thinking and focusing on it. But in a way, that's how my brain works. I'm visualizing it anyway. And we would not have a visualization system in our brain where
If you
we're
can't
imagining
see.
something without light. And
Yeah.
so this is powerful in that aspect too, because I'm having to try to like so balance maybe like standing hand Utahita Hatha Padangustasana
Utita hasta parangustasana.
to but I mean drishti, like because at this point if the light is dimmer and you're like working on that, it's gonna be so much harder.
It's so hard. Last night we went out and played pickleball at like 8 o'clock at night. We went to a tennis court, the four of us, for the end of Mother's Day. It was so cute. But like as it was getting dimmer and dimmer, like the moon was freaking amazing. Like you can see the moon, it was huge. But like we just kept missing the ball completely.
Yeah.
Like full on great aim usually. And I'm like, where is my depth perception? Like I can't even see where
Yeah.
I'm putting my body in space without the enough light. So yeah.
Yeah. And if I wanted, so you take things like that and you make people remember, like without light, like we don't really like have these things. Things that I would say, depending on the season, you've got everything from towards the holiday season. You have everything from Ramadan, which uh, is fasting, depending on when the light is there.
Mhm.
Hanukkah being a festival of lights and the promise that light will continue even when we don't have the supply. Judeo-Christian, like so Christian culture, where you're talking about the literal light, like the God's child being born into the earth. But then pagan culture, like Yule, being about like the celebration of the sun's return, and the triumph. Diwali, even like the of in Hindu culture of to take it back to some mythology. If you've not talked about Diwali at all, of overcoming darkness, and so the way that you go back to more of the like things that you say is like how do we overcome darkness, and that's like a well, you can blow that out there, but like how do we overcome darkness when it feels like it is inevitable, because it is, the sun will go down. um how do you find even in the dark, how do you find a sense of remembrance of what things were like, what were they like in the summer, what were they like in the light? How do you keep that, how do you hold gratitude for things too, whenever you know that like the darkness is coming, and
Mhm.
that we're gonna, even in solstice, like winter solstice, you're like it's the longest night, it's the most dark, you still like the days are gonna get longer bit by bit, but that's still like a long haul.
Yeah.
So light is probably one of my biggest ones.
That
Even
makes
to
me think of,
just
wait, I have to interrupt you because I have two things I have to
go.
say about this. One that kind of reminds me of, just because I'm playful, like a squirrel that has to like forage and hold on to their food before the winter. It's kind of like we have to do that in the earlier seasons. Like, what can we forage and hold on to bring with us into the winter when it feels darker? How can we
Yeah,
bring some of that lightness with us? So that is the image I had. And then I think I've talked about this on the podcast like 8 times because it's like one of my favorite quotes ever. You know the Albus Dumbledore quote in Harry Potter? Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. It's like
yeah.
such a good quote for this. Like, not that we're like quote teachers, but I think it's really fun when you can find a quote that correlates to what you're teaching.
There's plenty of good light quotes too if you do, and not to insult like quote teachers,
No,
like
no, no, no,
sometimes
no.
that's all the capacity that you have, and that's powerful, and that affects people. It doesn't do me, it doesn't do as much for me. Some people it's like all they need. There's a lot of light songs.
This
Lot.
little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Well,
Wait.
there's really good stuff. I mean, there's
That
stuff
wasn't really
between.
good. You didn't like that
No,
song?
that was amazing. I think you should release a Southern Gospel album.
In my
That
next
would,
life, and I'll like walk around with a tambourine with everything I do. It's gonna be amazing.
yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that that's one of the biggest ones for me is light. And you were talking about storing it. Plants like chloroplast, like the energy, like the sugar, like it's just like light, fire, and light from the sun, and then all the nutrients from the earth, and they store it, and they store it in like a fruit or they store it in a seed, and so you even get any chance to come off from there. Like think about like in the winter when they like hoard stuff, like they're holding on to this little bit of light
Yeah.
that they keep. Did you? Oh, what is it? Did you know plants? Like if you were like you had like a really good like scope, like a really good visual scope,
Microscope.
plants would glow.
Oh
Like
wow.
you turn all the light off because like they're storing energy. And then you
Yeah.
even think about light, like your brain, the synapses in your neurology.
It's all
It's
electricity. Oh my god,
heart.
I just lost power.
Ah! we
What?
we didn't plan that.
That did you see that? My closet
Yeah,
went
you were
dark.
like a wizard, and then the
Oh my god.
But do you
Sorry.
see the effect that having like light, like you're talking about, you're like, oh God, there is no light. Like it immediately, it's primal. It makes something like wake up in us that goes like, light is important, energy is important. We value these. This is how we see each other. This is how we connect. Our yoga practice, like without light, without being able to see and connect and share that, like it would be hard to practice these things without being able to share this light with one another. But I mean, it's again, it goes back to what we were talking about how the importance of light, the importance of energy, and the importance of these things. And so I love that. That's so cool. We did that. We made that happen.
That was creepy for me when things like that happen. You were like literally talking about darkness and all the power went out.
I was like, I thought you turned it off on purpose.
Oh my god, no,
You're like,
we're just done. We're done. Time's up. No, that was so wild. I'm sorry. This is all right. Real life, folks. Real life. Craig, I love this theme though, and I love how you can take it in so many different directions. And whether or not you're spiritual or scientific or not even sure how a theme relates, this is such a broad concept that you can find your own voice within as a teacher.
yeah, I invite teachers. I can post to some of my light playlists. I can give
Oh,
them to
if you want
Heidi
to send
to
them,
post on Spotify.
yeah, send them to me. I'll put them in the show notes at the bottom of the episode.
Yeah, and if you're one that doesn't like to teach music with words, I think I have a couple that are like light theme that are not like wordy too. I've taught this theme several times, so
Oh,
because you
I
can
want
do
those
it like
ones.
yeah, you can do it. You can do it like solstice. You can do it like middle of the summer. It's honestly a good one. Like I taught at a studio, and we came in that morning, and the power was out. And so we pulled the candles out. If you want to do a candlelight class, candlelights are also very good. If you wanted to do a class that had like swooping colors, like there is no light, it's good for Pride Month because we don't have a visible spectrum of rainbow without light. light is a broad spectrum if you want to talk about the differences in bodies and people and just humanity in general. Like without that, the other favorite thing from you're a theater person too, you love this. Light, when we separate light out of a prism, when we put it through something that's shattered and broken, we get color and beauty. When
Yeah.
you take shattered, broken color and all of these lights and you aim them into one place again, the light becomes white again. So, yeah, in theater lighting, like if they aim multiple color sources at one thing, it becomes like a white light. So
Yeah.
it's like how do we paint with our intention to sometimes like sit with the brokenness of us and find the beauty out of brokenness, out of a prism, but how do you also like take something that has been broken, all of these rich hues of pain and joy and all of those, mix them together to turn into something like beautiful and pure, go back to a sense of like of unadulterated, unfiltered light. So
Oh my God, this is so beautiful. I feel like I need to have you on the podcast 10 more times because you have so many themes and people can take them in every direction. Do you want to be my new co-host? No, I'm kidding.
we,
I'm kidding. But in all seriousness, you have so much knowledge and it's very inspiring and you can take this in any direction as a teacher. So it's very palatable and relatable, which is really cool.
yeah, I hope someone tell me if anyone teaches anything that's related to these themes that I like give you a jumping off point. Like, let me know. I want to know whether or not this is like something that sticks with people. Heidi likes to get feedback. I would love to know if other people. This is stuff that I'm working on as I develop like additional training and continuing education. Is like how to get people to the point where they're comfortable geeking out about something and then getting people excited about taking their yoga off the mat again and then seeing the world, because at the end of the day we're all just storytellers. Like that is the power of this practice, is that we're all storytellers, and especially in the South, like storytelling is an extremely important thing. Folklore, storytelling are so vital, so valuable, and especially for like more female dominated fields, like
Yeah.
being able to tell stories is extremely important. It's much more of a feminine route, a feminine path, because it's the stories are usually passed down, mother to child, sister to sister, mother to granddaughter to great grandchild, and so these are all very valuable. And I think that this is going to be the thing that, as we make this world a better place, storytelling and then coming back and reporting with others and being like, I used that theme or I told this story in a certain way, is also very valuable. It's very helpful. It helps us stay connected and woven together.
And it helps us enhance our abilities too, right? Like if you get feedback that's like, this was really good, except for blah, blah, blah doesn't land with anybody. It's like, oh, great. That's so helpful for me and my own development too, because we're all just trying to do better as humans and teachers ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could all do better about receiving some feedback, letting the light in whenever we don't want to.
You're such a good receiver of feedback.
Thanks. It took a lot of work to get. I'm gonna receive that, and because
Receive
that
that.
it takes time. It's hard.
Yeah, you were probably not happy to work with me at first.
Not really, honestly. Like I just knowing that someone was gonna tell us, like, so there'd be a couple times where you're like, that doesn't work, and then eventually I was like, no. I was like, okay. I was like, this isn't happening because someone's saying I'm doing a bad job. This is happening because someone cares about this. And I go back to say the teaching yoga beyond the poses.
Yeah,
Is like I get nervous because I want to do a good job because
because
this
you
is
care.
something I care about.
Yeah,
I get tender about feedback because this is something I care about and I want to do a good job. You
yeah.
just have to take these two things, mash them together, and be open to receiving feedback from people, because we all have different, and sometimes things aren't going to work, and sometimes I'm like there's things that you've said like you need to try this, and I'm like that's not going to work in South Central Kentucky. Mirroring does not work in people in the South well. I don't
Really?
know what it I don't know what it is. It's give or take, but mirroring doesn't do well. And a lot of people in this area do not like teachers who teach off the mat. They want people who demo the whole time. These are industry standards or hallmarks everywhere else, but here they are not received well. I don't know what it is.
Interesting.
It's been so hard, especially when I train with people abroad. It has not been my experience. At least it's not been my experience in Bowling Green and in some of the like wider varieties that I teach at. It's just, and people are like, like I will meet teachers and they're like, I'm not good at mirroring. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, you will get there eventually. I said, it's a great challenge and it helps you stay connected to a teacher without reliance on a mirror. But like a lot of them, like, you'll come into something and in their head, I don't know how, my students are doing calculus where I'll be like, I'll be mirroring effectively and I'll be like, lift your right hand. And then they will lift
Their left
their
hand.
their left hand because they know that this is my, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, Skandasana, front to the back of the mat, Warrior Two, front to the back of the mat. They will they will not mirror towards you. Like, if you are like Skandasana to the front of the mat, they will go in the same direction as me every time. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. And I'll stop.
Fascinating.
But yeah, it's interesting. Like, some stuff just doesn't work for everybody, and it's weird how regional that can be sometimes. And so, but being able to receive the feedback and be like, that's not been always my experience. I do want to try that and see how that feels. And then sometimes, like, I'll do it and I'll be like, sorry, that's just the way that I would like to teach, because in my experience, the more that we do this, the better it's going to be. Slowing down has been fun to like push people to slow down more. And I'll have people that are reticent. They're like, I just don't like slowing down. And I'm like, do you feel slightly stronger after a few of my classes? And they're like, since getting into chromatic, like, I've slowed way down. And they're like, actually, yeah. I'm like, do you have slightly less injuries? And they're like, actually, yeah. I'm like, I'm not saying that you can't go and enjoy your like breakneck vinyasa, like, to the speed of sound, like, as quickly as possible. But like, just try once or twice to supplement and do this, and then see how that feels. Because
And then
you're
discern.
you're giving feedback to a student, basically. You're like, how does that feel in your body? Try this, then get back to me. So
You know, I
I'm
always
better
think
at.
it's. Well, sorry, what? You're better at.
I said I'm better at taking feedback now because I've had to start giving it to students and other teachers. That's another thing that I've like started learning. So I
That's
think I was
cool.
reticent at first, but like, I'm doing better.
I'm glad I could model that for you. I'm
Yeah,
such a good
honestly.
teacher.
So if you want to be one of Heidi's 3,000 mentees, she's selling private mentorship. You should absolutely pick that up. She's a fantastic mentor. Truly, truly, you
Thank
are a
you.
fantastic mentor.
Thank you. I appreciate
Give you
that.
Here's your flowers.
I appreciate they smell so good. And my cat can't eat them because they're imaginary. It's the
They
best.
smell like a closet.
Yay, I love closet flowers. Before we end, real quick, that just reminded me of one last thing I wanted to say. And then I have to eat lunch because I'm really hungry and my brain's stopping working.
Okay.
So, what was I going to say? In class, I often give people the option at some point of, I mean, the option's always there. You can always do nothing that I'm saying. I don't care. You do you. It doesn't matter to me. But at some point, I'll say, like, oh, you could take a downward dog. You could take a child's pose. You could just like sit down and have some water and not do any posture other than just like breathe and collect yourself. And the amount of people, almost 100% of the time lately, like 99% of the people go into child's pose and take rest. And then they don't come out of it when I'm like, all right, if you're ready to start moving again, head to downward dog. Otherwise, like, you could stay for the next half an hour. I don't care. You do what you need. And it's such an interesting reframe for me as a teacher, because I always thought people just want to work their asses off and they just like, harder is better. And I have had to learn, like, you don't need to make everything harder all the time. Like, teaching
Yeah.
people to soften is what they need right now, because the world is really hard and they don't need another hard thing on their plate always. They just need the safe space to soften and feel cared
Yeah.
for. And that's been a real teachable moment for me as a teacher. I don't know
Yeah.
why I
It's
brought that up.
challenging because we all want to. It's hard to, well, because that's us receiving feedback from our students.
That's why I brought it up. Thank you
That
for
goes back
figuring
to
that
us
out.
like that goes back to us like reading the room, like learning how to like, because like we've already covered that they don't want to have the like that they're not great at autonomy. They don't want to admit what hurts. They don't want to admit what they want. They don't want to say what they need or what they want. So we, as the facilitators, as the leaders, instructors, and teachers, have to also look at them and say, like, I am getting the intention, or getting
The
the
space, the
hint
gift.
that you would like a little bit more space, that you would like to rest a little bit more. And they're not gonna come up, hopefully, and be like, hey, you're too hard as a teacher. Like, you're bad at this. Like, because that's never gonna be received well, and we won't hear it anyway. We'll be
Right. They
like,
just won't
well,
come back.
you did child stuff for 30 minutes in class, so I don't want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah,
But like,
no.
if we broke down that ego to be able to take feedback a little bit better, and again, this is all stuff, I'm almost at the S word, stuff that I'm working on. You cussed, and then it opened up the floodgates.
It's just open now.
So, but like when we can break that down and start to receive people a little bit better, then things will land better in us. And so that's when we get to the joy of learning from our students, which I think is another powerful aspect of yoga.
100%. I love this. Yes. So thank you so much for your time and your inspiration today coming on Theme Weavers. I'm so excited. Craig, when people want to tell you how your light theme landed, or also just because they think you're cool and want to be your friend or come and practice yoga with you, where can they go? How do they find you?
You can find me on Core Element Yoga on Instagram, CORE. There is a double E in there, so be careful. Core Element Yoga. But you can also just hit me up on my personal page, Craig Lonas, CRAIGLONAS on Instagram. Both of those work. If you're interested in any more like actual like conversation that's deeper, you can start there, or you can email me at craig@coreelementyoga.com. I would love to help mentor other teachers on thematic applications in their practices. Outside of just yoga, we can work on anything that is a movement practice that you want to have a little bit more intention in. When it comes to how to do this stuff, I'm also working on some class packs eventually that would be like drag and drop themes on stuff. So stay tuned for stuff like that as well. You'll also find me teaching at various places. And if you want to fly me out to your studio or have your studio owner fly me out to be a part of your training, I have helped and led in 200-hour trainings on how to work with thematics, how to work with theming, how to make sure that your music is not just obnoxious if you are going to use music and theming and stuff like that. How to put purpose behind all of that stuff. And I would love to help you out with that.
But only if you fly both of us out, actually.
Both of us.
Let's just clarify.
Yeah.
Let's just clarify at the same time.
Big theme energy. You gotta have both of us. It's one of both of us. You can't handle two Capricorns like this in one room telling you how to live your life. So
why not? We're awesome.
I don't think that they can.
I think that they can, and they should, and they will.
They should. I don't know if they're ready yet. So,
if you're ready,
make sure that you get right with whatever you call a creator of the universe, because we're gonna come here and rock your world.
Rock it! I love this. So, fellow yoga teachers, I hope you enjoyed this conversation with my guest and friend Craig Lonas from Core Element Yoga in Bowling Green, Kentucky. If you want to use this conversation in your own classes, please find a way to bring Craig's teaching alive in your own voice and your own practice and your teaching. Let us know how this all lands. Reach out to us, not just to Craig, to me, to Theme Weavers, whatever. Just like reach out. I mean, he's pretty awesome. Reach out to us all. We're here to support you. I'm here to support you, fellow yoga teacher, and your class preparation and delivery. So let me know how I could be of the most support. And tune in next time where we're back to our yoga story time for a new myth to inspire your classes. And don't forget to check out our course, Theme Weavers Academy, Crafting Impactful Classes. Click the link in the show notes to learn more and enroll. Craig, this has been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Can't wait to talk to you in 20 minutes.
Okay, bye. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week with a new myth and modern inspiration to bring to your practice and your teaching. See you next time.